Hey everybody, we're back talking about borrowing some more and about credit. So handy dandy PowerPoint today. So we're going to go over some terms, and you'll find these things in your book. You may have already read over this page, but on page 15 in your book, you'll see the different terms about credit cards and credit line terms. Annual fee, so that's just a yearly fee for having the account. Many cards come without an annual fee, so don't think, oh, I have to pay an annual fee, because there are many cards that don't have one. So don't just accept that. You may want to do some shopping around. Cash advance fee. So you get charged differently for taking out a cash advance with your credit card. You get charged interest, often higher, plus a cash advance fee. So you really don't want to be using a credit card to get cash. An over the limit fee, so your credit limit is the maximum amount you can borrow. So if you go over this limit, you're going to end up with an additional fee, and then you do end up the next month, if it's not all paid, then that's just more money that you're being charged interest on. So a snowball effect really happens there. So you're already over the limit, and then you're going to be over the limit even more because there's a fee. The grace period, we have spoken about that before. That is the amount of time, it's typically maybe around 25 days from the end of your billing cycle until the payment is due. And during that time, if you get it paid back, you don't start being charged interest. However, you do have to have, for most cards, have to have the previous balance paid off for this to apply. And then other fees, sometimes there are different setup fees or maintenance fees. So that stuff is the stuff they sneak in on the fine print, and so always be on the alert for that. And then some terms that go along with installment loans, the loan term. So if you spread it out longer, like we saw yesterday, the payments are going to be less, but it's going to be more interest. So the loan term is like how long the loan lasts. An origination fee, that's just like to do the paperwork for your loan. So sometimes if you're not thinking about borrowing that much, or if you're, like you could spend more on just the origination fee than the interest if it's really short term. So that can really be a big deal. Sometimes you're going to find places, again, like that annual fee where there's none, so be on the lookout for that. A prepayment penalty, it's usually a good idea to pay extra on a loan because it brings down the amount that you're getting charged interest. But some loans have it in the paperwork that they're going to charge you a penalty for prepaying because they want that interest money, okay? So you just always want to be on the alert. You might want to ask, is there any penalty for prepayment or paying extra? And then the down payment, I think we're all familiar with that term, the money that you pay up front. And then discount points, for instance, when I was looking at the mortgage loans, if you were a customer of KeyBank already with a savings and a checking account, you got 0.25 or 1/4% off of your interest rate. So over a long loan, that would make a difference. So if you look at page 16 and you remember about Mariah and how she wanted to get a credit card and her mom said no. At first her mom was just livid, no way. Well, if you read on page 16, you find out what Mariah's mom went through. She'd use those cards all year, and then she'd have to work super hard, long hours in the summer, and then not even be able to do fun things with her friends in the summer because she had to pay off those loans. After college graduation, she couldn't just work extra in the summer. Then she had rent, and she had payments for a car loan and her student loan, that her new salary that she thought was going to be so great, it just couldn't even cover everything. So then she got behind. Then she had to move back home as an adult. She wasn't thrilled about that. She applied for an apartment and got denied because of her bad credit. When she did get loans, she couldn't get a good interest rate at first. So it kind of haunts you. So you do have a danger of overspending because you think you can just keep up with the payment. Then the debt gets overwhelmed. I mean, you get overwhelmed with debt, just like if you get behind in class, you get overwhelmed with the work. And it affects your future credit worthiness. Today we're going to talk about credit rating, and if you didn't pay, then that's going to affect how people think of you in the future of whether or not they want to give you credit. You could even get sued. Legal actions could be brought against you. You got bill collectors calling. That's stressful. All sorts of things. And if you get sued, of course, it's going to cost even more. You're also putting yourself at a greater risk of identity theft and fraud, because every time you're using your credit card, that number is out there that someone could get it and use it for the wrong thing. Not the only way they get it, but a way. So we've said debt in itself, or credit in itself, isn't a good or a bad thing. It's how we use it. So how much debt is okay? Well, that really depends on everybody's personal situation. But in general, a good rule is the 20-10 rule. And the 20-10 rule says that the total dollars of debt, everything that you owe other people, whether it be a car loan, credit cards, should be less than 20% of your annual net income. So if you make $30,000 a year, but you only actually bring home $24,000 after taxes, then you should have 24,000 times 0.20. You should have less than $4,800 worth of debt, excluding your mortgage. Okay, so the mortgage is not figured in that. Okay, so during class today, I'll be doing some more practice with some of those numbers. But it's going to be much less overwhelming, I think, than some of our numbers that we dealt with compound interest. And if you look on page 20, you'll see some examples of this. All right, so on page 20, you see some examples down there. So, and then you'll have an assignment that will be similar to what you see on the bottom of page 20. And so that example that's written out will be a good one to refer to for how to do that. If you want to put your work in a spreadsheet, you can, or you can just figure it on a calculator. Both ways, perfectly valid. It's not too complicated. Wouldn't be a big deal to do it on the calculator. But if you choose, you could do it in a spreadsheet. Anyway, back to this. And then your monthly payments, the total amount of your monthly payments should be less than 10% of your monthly net income. And again, this isn't including your mortgage. Your mortgage is like a whole separate category. And again, this is just a guideline. Different people have different levels of comfort with debt and different priorities. But when you start going over these guidelines, that's when you have to be extra careful. So we want to be a shrewd borrower, which also means buyer in many cases. So when you want to charge something or take out a loan for something, be sure that you really want it. Do I really need and want it? Am I still going to be happy about this when the payment comes? I took out some student loans to do a study abroad trip, and I went to Europe for 11 weeks, and I can honestly say, even though there were times it was hard to pay that student loan back, I was happy to pay that because that was an experience I'll never forget. there were credit cards that I charged stupid stuff like clothes. I was not really happy about that. So could have made better choices. Is there room in my spending plan so that I can pay these payments? Is it going to be worth the extra cost after I pay interest on top of this? How much is that extra cost going to be? Is this item even worth it? What would the cost be to wait? What if I just try to save for whatever it is I want? Could I save the money? Now, if it's a house, probably not. But if it's a car, maybe. If it's some clothes, something like that, absolutely. So then if I can wait, then I can just wait and pay the money without the cost of credit. If I choose to do it, I need to know, will I be disciplined enough to pay this off, to make my payments on time? So those, by the way, are on page 21. So these things, a lot of these came straight from your book. So we're going to look more at your credit rating. When you apply for credit, there's certain information that you will always have to give. Some places may ask you for more, but they get pretty personal. Even your Social Security number, because they're going to check you out. So if we looked at Christina Anderson here, and we want to know, is she credit worthy? So thinking about this information about her, she's worked at the same place for 5 years. She makes $5,100 a month. And she does have a savings. They have a savings account. She has almost $1,000 a month for her mortgage. So if we want to decide, are we going to approve or deny her credit application, we would want to look back at her situation, thinking of those 5 C's of credit. Okay, so capital. So does she have any money? Like she has a savings account. That goes in her favor. Capacity. She have a job? Is it stable? Seems like it. Character. So they're going to look at your credit report to see if you've been paying your other bills on time. Collateral, like it's easier to get a car loan than a personal loan because the car, they have something they can take. And then what are the conditions? If something bad has happened, is there really a reason for that? So when they report credit, they're reporting where you live and work, your credit card accounts, your payment history. Have other people looked into your credit? So if you keep applying for new things, those things actually can bring down your credit rating, even if you have, like you're paying everything. Has there been legal actions or collections to get you to pay? Like, did you not pay willingly? So who are the people who are watching? These are your 3 main credit reporting agencies. Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. Now it's trying to see if those are listed in our little booklet. And like it's going to tell you which page. But right now I don't see them. So you might want to jot those down. Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. And then the other people who are watching, credit card providers, lenders, banks, landlords, if you're getting a bunch of offers for credit cards, you might have good credit. And so they're trying to like suck you in. They want you to borrow. When you're just starting out, there are some things you can do. I'll let you have a second to look at this to see some of the things you can do to help you get a good start. We all do have to start out somewhere. So sometimes it's hard to get a loan when you haven't had a loan. So maybe asking someone to co-sign, but having money in the bank, establishing a relationship with a bank, having steady employment is all going to help. All right, so I hope that was helpful. I kind of rushed through that because this program only lets me have 15 minutes. And so tomorrow we'll talk more about that and about identity fraud and how we protect ourselves. So not tomorrow, it will be Monday. All right, hope this is helpful.